Well, and I appreciate the notion of agency, that we're not bystanders in the world. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future. And that fundamental notion of agency, I think, is important more broadly. And I think that goes to some of the issues around, victimization. And I see a lot of that, respectively, on the right, increasingly, even with Trump.
Steve Bannon humiliates Gavin Newsom as they discuss our duly elected president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Guys, it's really quite an interesting time we're in, all right? Now we have the far left wacko commie governor of California actually engaging in dialogue with people on the right. Who would have seen it coming? It is quite interesting. So we're going to get right into it. It's going to be fun. But first, do me a huge favor here. Like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing out this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I'm Roastarian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Well, and I appreciate the notion of agency, that we're not bystanders in the world. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future. And that fundamental notion of agency, I think, is important more broadly. And I think that goes to some of the issues around, victimization. And I see a lot of that, respectively, on the right, increasingly, even with Trump often approaching things from that sort of mindset.
What do you mean for Trump?
I think there's sort of the grievance narrative that comes from Trump. This notion there is sort of a victim.
Well, they did try to put him in prison for 300 years, right? They did try to bankrupt him.
Well, if
a guy had ever had a set of grievances, they did steal, according to us, and we're firm believers of the 2020 election, which I think worked out better. That providentially that he was able to come back with that gap, because I think you're seeing a much more not just new and improved, but somebody that's much more in command of these decisions and really stepping up in a way that we could have never done before. But no, I don't think it's grievances. I think it's reality. I mean, they tried to. No one in American history has the system ever come after, and I think it's one of the problems with the Democrats. You got in a position of having to defend. Remember, I come from a working class Democratic family.
Right? Kennedy Democratic family.
Kennedy Democrat. I was telling some people last night, I said, we didn't know any Republicans. We were Irish, Catholic, working class, phone company, firemen, Navy enlisted people. You didn't know any Republicans. They just weren't in your, we were in the South also, which is all, machine Democratic politics. So you didn't know anybody. You didn't know anybody then. And so to see what President Trump had to go through and to see how we've actively changed the Republican Party to actually the working class party in this country. There was a poll done last spring that showed that we as the Republican Party are the working class party and viewed as such, and that President Trump's the leader of that working class party, and the Democrats have become both not just the Wall Street elitists, but also the kind of the credential class with the poor underneath it.
It's really a fascinating transition to witness. If you said to somebody 10 years ago that the GOP is the party of the working class, they would have told you you're crazy. You're on, I don't know, some kind of inappropriate drug that I can't mention on this channel. And look what happened now. Now, as far as Newsom goes, with this whole, Trump is such a victim. If you thought that was a silly thing for him to say, just wait. It gets worse.
Administrative state that's kind of anti-democratic. It's there. And I don't care if AOC or Gavin Newsom or Bernie Sanders walks into the Oval Office, President of the United States, the deep state and the apparatus is going to do what they're going to do. They're going to look at you as just passing through.
No, we refer to it in non-pejorative, but there's a clay layer of bureaucracy. And you're right, unaccountable folks making a lot of decisions. And I don't think that's wrong. But yours is a much more.
By the way, then you know what? I just had an idea. We should invite Elon, because you know these guys better. You're personal friends with these guys. Elon ought to take a California Doge, sit down with you so you can get the ground.
We've been doing it for years.
But
our approach, Steve, is more like Rigo. We already did this. $140 billion of savings on a $1.4 trillion budget. That was real savings. And we did it the right way, not two people with people. 400,000 positions under the Clinton administration.
Let
your
Elon
favorite family.
Let Elon come out. Let Elon come out and verify that. I think for the nation it'd be good and be good.
But he hasn't done that. There's a recklessness to what he's doing.
Let's go back to Doge. What he's trying to do is get the waste, fraud, and abuse and identified. He has identified USAID, which people have been working on for years, but he's done a good job there. The other is this $20 billion in Citicorp, where it went. I think people are going to, eventually need more details. I think he said he's going to provide more details. They just went to federal court last night. A judge ruled. I
love it. Now, Steve, I love that you're defending him now. By the way, he's been pretty soft on you.
Hang on. I'm not.
He hasn't attacked you back, which is interesting to me. He's marginally attacked you back. I'm curious your private thoughts on that. Why do you think he's a little scared of you, isn't he?
No, I don't think Elon's.
I think he is a little bit. That's my personal opinion.
I'm just a Mick that yells into a microphone. But Governor, no. Here's I think it's important, and this is why I think let's get back.
That is extremely rich for Newsom to say that Elon Musk is unaccountable, throwing stones from a glass house. Okay, I mean there are so many examples you can go through. I'll go with the recent one here. All right. An analysis just found, and this was reported on by CBS, LA Times, all these liberal outlets, that California spent over $24 billion with a capital B dollars on homelessness over a period of 5 years. And they did nothing to track that money or how effective it might be. Isn't that incredible? Again, accountability. Newsom is the governor of California. And he can't even solve this homelessness problem. We have about 117,000 estimated homeless people in California now. That's 30% of the country's homeless population just in that state. And it's worse than it sounds too when you consider how concentrated it is around the metro areas. Where's the accountability for that? $24 billion, nothing to show for it, and not even any tracking done on it. You want to talk about accountability, Newsom? What a joke. Now, to Newsom's credit, I will say, at least he's engaging with dialogue with people who disagree with him. Now, it is obviously done in a self-serving and cynical manner, all right? That much is clear. When people say stuff like, oh, Newsom's opening his mind now. Oh, he's going to be a conservative in no time. What a great guy. Wise up, guys. This is getting a little ridiculous. But hey, it's cool. He's engaging in dialogue. You can't say that for most lefties. In fact, some of them are very upset that he's doing this thing. Just check out what the lovely ladies, we love the ladies at The View. Look at what The View has to say about it. Such a great, brilliant young group of ladies. Oh, we love them.
I think this is a poor strategy for Gavin Newsom. I actually did think that he was one of the leaders that would come out in terms of 2028. I remember watching his annual State of the Union address in California, and he criticized Republicans, and he promoted California as an antidote to the poisonous populism of the right. Now he has a Steve Bannon on the show who's saying, you're going to get to populism. There's a long road. He gives zero pushback there. He gives zero pushback, as Sarah pointed out, to really what is a slur against Senator Warren, a sitting senator. He gives a platform and normalizes, in my view, an election denier and someone who is the person who is behind Project 2025. And I believe that, if you are going to be a public servant, you better be unapologetically authentic, because voters can sniff out inauthenticity in a second. And I thought that was one of the most inauthentic things I have seen Gavin Newsom do.
Wow. So you don't believe in the let them hang themselves theory?
No, I'm terribly disappointed. I think you meet energy with energy. And what he did was he showed his pretty white teeth and his cute face and did nothing other than that. And I think it's despicable.
Despicable. Absolutely despicable. How dare Newsom talk to people who don't completely agree with his communist agenda? How dare he? We got to finish up with The View, guys. I know you love them just as much as I do. With all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. As always, comment below. Let us know what you liked, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future, and hit that subscribe button. We need it. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon. God bless.